Hey, ladies, welcome to episode 122. Welcome to the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast. This is a podcast for women who are ready to ditch diets, ditch the scale, and food guilt forever, and instead invite peace with food, body trust, and confidence in all of your choices. This show will shed some light on sneaky ways diet culture has infiltrated your thoughts, your family, and your well-being. I believe that no matter the episode, you'll walk away feeling informed, inspired, and encouraged. I'm your host, Jennifer D'Amato. I'm a certified intuitive eating counselor, coach, a mom of 4 daughters, a lover of all things pink, and I can't wait to dive into each and every episode with you. Let's dive in now. So years ago, I decided I'm no longer dieting. I can't do it. I can't take it. I hate it. It sucks. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't work. It doesn't actually work. It works at the beginning. You'll lose weight, but you cannot sustain this. I'm done. I hit that point after obsessively tracking. I have several episodes on here. I've talked about my story. I've talked about orthorexia. I've talked about what it looks like to be completely obsessed with health-related behaviors and actions and choices and thoughts. And that's what broke me. I can actually remember turning to my husband at one point and saying, I'm so done with this. I just can't do it anymore. And I'm grateful that I have someone in my life who's really supportive. Like, okay, don't do it then. I'm pretty sure his response was, don't do it then. And this is before even, understanding intuitive eating, pressing into that work, literally pivoting my entire business, going through an intensive training, all of that. This is just me hitting rock bottom, telling my husband I can't do it anymore. And I'm grateful that I'm in the situation where I have somebody supportive. I have somebody who's like, if you want to get up at 3:30 a.m. to go work out, I guess go do that, because that's what I was doing. And he was supportive. And also, I'm done dieting. This sucks. I don't want to do it anymore. And he's like, cool, awesome, whatever is best for you. I know not everyone's in that situation, but I also know that most of the clients I work with have a partner. Most of them are married, and they get to that place where they want to share that they're no longer dieting. They want to actually share about intuitive eating. And they're like, how in the world do I explain this when I don't fully know the process, know the journey, know the ins and outs? How do I do that? Sometimes that fear of that unknown and even the fear of explaining to the person closest to us what we're doing can be the thing that stops us from doing it. I've been in conversations with women who are deciding to work with me, and then they're like, but how do I tell my husband what I'm going to be doing? How do I explain intuitive eating when I don't really know it all? I just know this is what I need. And so my first advice is to think of a time where you've made a decision to do something. You've said yes to something where you didn't already know how it was going to go. Now, oftentimes this can even be left with kind of a chuckle like, well, that's everything. Like, we really can't predict the future. We don't know it. That's kind of my point, is that we don't need to know everything to know that something is exactly what we need. I do relate a lot of things to parenting. And I would say if there's anything in this life that I've lived that I haven't known anything about, it would be that. And yet, here I am, 4 kids later. I said, yeah, let's do this again. Even though I don't know how this is all going to turn out. I don't know who they're going to be. I don't know what personality we're getting. For me, it was still an easy, all right, let's take this chance and have children. You might actually be able to relate this to a job change, a career change, moving. I don't know what it's all going to look like. I don't know what the end result's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to like the people I work with, if my boss and I are going to get along. I don't know how this neighborhood's going to be, if our neighbors are going to be friendly or, if they're going to be loud and intrusive. But I'm going to go because I know this is what's best for me, for my family, for my life. We actually make these decisions like this all the time without knowing everything. What you can look at is your current circumstance, the current truth that you're in. And when we're talking about walking into this work, starting the intuitive eating journey, you can look at the truth, which is the diets are not working. Diets in your own personal history have literally taken from you, not given. They've disconnected you with your own body. You don't trust yourself around food. You feel guilty. You feel like you're doing something wrong when it comes to eating. You can actually see where you are right now is not the place you want to be. You want to move. You want to change. You want to be somewhere different. You want to take a chance that anything is going to be better than dieting. So when we're communicating with our closest person, our partner, our spouse, maybe it's even other people, really important people in our life, I'm starting this intuitive eating journey. I don't know all the things, but isn't that how life goes? And you kind of relate it to something like I just did here, moving, a new job, a career. I know where I am right now is not where I want to be. I don't know all the ins and outs, but I know this is what's best. I need to make this move. Now, I'm not even suggesting you have to communicate. I think I want to be clear about that. I'm not saying you need to sit down and have this huge heart to heart, but I know a lot of the women that I work with want to eventually communicate this. They want to explain to their partner or their closest person, I'm no longer dieting. I'm not pursuing weight loss. I'm not focused on that. And they want to be able to explain their heart, explain why they're doing this. Now, once they're in the work, once they're working with me, a lot of that starts to happen very organically and naturally. And what I love is when I hear those conversations, just popping up, and my clients will share with me, something they shared with their spouse. Because 99.9% of the clients I've had, their spouse is not an intuitive eater, is not pursuing intuitive eating. I've literally worked with one couple who were pursuing intuitive eating. So you can understand how rare it is for both partners, both people in the relationship to be pursuing intuitive eating. I mean, I think it would be fantastic because I know the power of this work, but we can't force our spouse to be on this journey with us. And I'm going to say this, brace yourself. We don't need them to be. We don't need them to be on the same journey with us. Now, I actually have clients whose spouses still diet, and they bring that into our session, the thoughts they have, and they, been able to separate themselves from what someone else is doing, just like we do with our coworkers, with our friends who are continuing to talk about pursue weight loss. We can set a personal boundary that I can listen, but I'm not here to contribute. I actually shared in season 2 about, what do you do when those dieting conversations are happening around you? That might be a really great listen. If you search for episode 95, How to Respond to Dieting Conversations, you'll find it. It can be a useful tool to just be the observer, even in your conversations with your spouse, if they are still pursuing weight loss and dieting and you are on your intuitive eating journey. Now, I've lived that part. My husband, like I said, is so supportive. And I was pursuing intuitive eating and he was not. He was not dieting, but he was not pursuing intuitive eating. I would say he's really a good intuitive eater, but he was not on this journey with me. And so until I felt more comfortable and confident, I didn't share a whole lot. And I find that true of my clients as well. When they start feeling more confident, when they start implementing in an easier way, because the beginning of the work is work, but when it feels easier implementing intuitive eating, the principles into their life, those conversations organically and naturally happen. And so we have a culture in our home of intuitive eating. And it's really because of that space created where I became an intuitive eater. And naturally, the whole house shifted that way. I didn't put any pressure on anyone. I did change some language that was happening and, addressed that, hey, we're not going to talk about weight. We're not going to talk about the kid's size and their changing body in any negative way, because we had grown up hearing those messages. And it's not that my spouse, my husband, was doing that, but just trying to be ahead of the conversation. I changed the language when it came to food and leaving food on your plate. And when they were hungry, they were hungry. When they were full, they were full. All of that changed very naturally and organically. And I'm grateful it was fully embraced, by my husband. And I can really see the benefit of relaxing about it and doing that small communication of, I don't understand it all, but I know this is what's best. Now, you might want more than that. You might be looking for resources. Your spouse, your partner, your friend, your coworker who you're having this conversation with even might be like, well, I'd like to know more. Well, the great thing is you have resources like at your fingertips. So you can share episodes of this podcast. The entire season 3 is dedicated solely to intuitive eating and body image. Pick your favorite episodes and share them. If you're looking for accounts on social media to share, you can find mine and any of the guests that I've had for intuitive eating, or the accounts you follow. Share those with your spouse. Let them start seeing that message that you're listening to. If you want to invite your coworker, your bestie into the free private community that I have, to be like, listen, not everyone in here is at the same place in their journey. Some people really don't know much about intuitive eating, but they're part of this community as well. It's open to wherever you are in the journey. So there's so many resources. If maybe your spouse or someone else you're sharing about intuitive eating with wants to know more, oh, there's so much. If they really want to read Intuitive Eating by Evelyn and Elise, grab the book from Amazon, absolutely. Or listen to, the audio version. I've had clients who they love the audio version of it. So grab that and say, hey, this is the book that was written, and all the work I'm doing comes from this. Wherever you are, whatever that relationship is looking for, I feel like you have so much, that you can offer. I'm on this journey. It's just for me, all the way to, and here's every resource you could possibly imagine to understand even more. I always tell my clients, you don't have to have all the answers. You really don't. If you did, you'd probably feel pretty terrible that you don't have them all. What you do have is a knowing that this is what's best for you. I do hope as you're listening to this, you have someone or more than one person in your life that is supportive and encouraging and cheers you on no matter where you are in your journey. I know oftentimes that for my clients, that's where I fill in the gap. I come in. They just want someone who gets what they're going through and who also is cheering them on and encouraging them while giving them the strategies and tools. So if you're looking for that higher level of support and you do want someone by your side, be sure to head into the show notes and grab a spot on my calendar, apply for one-on-one coaching while it's open. I don't want to end this episode without reminding you that I have a free 5-day event to help you learn to cope without using food. If you've been feeling overwhelmed with emotional eating, you feel like your cravings are out of control, this free 5-day event is going to be for you. Now, I've been very clear that in 5 days, we're not curing emotional eating. We're not, stopping it after 5 days. That would be a ridiculous promise. But what I am promising is that you will have a better understanding of your food cravings and discover the solution to overcoming emotional eating. So head to healthcoachforlife.com/emotional eating event, or wherever you're listening to the podcast, head into the show notes and click emotional eating event so that you can sign up today. And by signing up, you have access to all of the information and all of the replays if you can't make them live.